Recently, one of my pastors asked me if I would lead a seminar on sharing your faith, sharing your testimony, witnessing, whatever you want to call it. And I was honored and I'm excited about doing it. It's scheduled in the future, but can't tell you that there's anything that I would rather do than to be able to help people to share their faith and to be a witness, an active witness for Christ. And as I was thinking about that, I thought about the fact that we Southern Baptists have two ordinances. That is baptism and the Lord's Supper. And where Catholics may have sacraments and they may have seven sacraments or 11 sacraments, we have just the two ordinances, which are baptism and the Lord's Supper. And when asked, why do we have those two ordinances rather than 7 or 11, it was said that those were commands of Christ, that he said to be baptized. He also said that we should do this in remembrance of him. And as I began to prepare for the end of March in my time of witness training and the testimony training, I thought to myself, maybe we Southern Baptists really ought to have 3 ordinances. For you see, as I read and as I looked at the scriptures for the basis of testimonies and witnessing, it seems to me that he commanded that we be witnesses, and that we as Baptists would be wise to consider witnessing and giving testimony and being evangelistic in our living in the society we live around should be just as much of a command of Christ as being baptized and having the Lord's Supper. Let me just illustrate. In Mark, in chapter 1, it says, "And as he was going along by the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and Andrew, the brother of Simon, casting a net in the sea, and they were fishermen. And Jesus said to them, 'Follow me, and I will make you to become fishers of men.' Immediately left their nets and followed him. Going a little further, he saw James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, were in the boats mending the nets, and immediately he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired servants and went away to follow him." In the book of Acts, it talks about going into the world and witnessing. At the end of each gospel, he tells us to go out and to testify, to make disciples. So why not an ordinance? Why not a command? Well, perhaps he thought that it would be automatic, that we as Christians would want to share good news with those that are lost and dying in the world around us. Whatever the reason that our forefathers didn't say this should be an ordinance of the church, it really ought to be. We ought to be wanting to share our faith with others. I have used this illustration on other instances when I was training in Evangelism Explosion or CWT or Faith. Suppose I knew where to get free your favorite food, whether it be a dessert or a sandwich or a dinner meal, whatever. But suppose I knew where to get for free your favorite food, your favorite beverage. And I told you how wonderful it was. And as I sat in front of you, licking my lips and wiping off my mouth with a napkin, having just enjoyed this free, wonderful beverage or meal that you love so much, I quickly changed the subject and went on to talk about politics or some other subject. And you said, well, wait a minute. That's not fair. You know I love the good food or a good beverage, and you've told me how great it is, but you didn't tell me where I could get it. And I submit to you that many of us as Christians live our lives rejoicing, worshiping, praising, thankful, prayer. And people around us see that we're having an abundant life, as Jesus said we should. But we don't tell them where they can get it, and that it's free. You see, it is the good news of Jesus Christ. And we ought to follow him and become fishers of men. We ought to be ones that are following the Great Commission, not just giving our money to the mission field, but we're in a mission field. And we ought to be sharing our faith. We ought to be telling others about Jesus. We ought to be able to tell them where they can get what they need more than anything else for absolutely free. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.